earth, and what is your purpose? We are coming to Durban at the Al Ansar Conference Center on 9th of September at 6 p.m. We look forward to meeting you for an enlightening discussion on the day.
We'd love to meet you. Pay us a visit. Radio Al Ansar.
I've been holding for so long, scared I might slip away. Sometimes I just feel so lost, but I know that I'll find my way. Oh, I cannot lie, it's hard sometimes I lose my mind. Constant whispers in my head, temptations I defy. But I know that if I want your guidance, I'll go blind. That is why I need you. Oh, show me the way. Oh, don't let me stray. Oh, I need you. Oh, you. Oh, take me out of darkness into your light. I know I gotta stay strong.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and good evening. Yep, indeed, it's me, Buddy Govender, right here on your favorite space on the airways, Radio Al Ansar. It is 12 minutes after 9 o'clock, and it's a beautiful Friday evening. And yep, we've got another wonderful edition of Echoes of the Casbah coming to you this evening. Yep, welcome to our soulful stroll through the Casbah, where every stitch will tell a story, every hem will hold a memory. Today, we thread our way through the vibrant legacy of clothes, dressmakers, tailors, these people that shaped the style and spirit of Durban in its most iconic districts. Well, from the crisp collars of the 1950s to the bold bell-bottoms of the 1970s, the Casbah was more than just a marketplace. It was a runway of resilience. Tailors, seamstress, often tucked into narrow arcades or behind beaded curtains, working magic with needle and thread. They didn't just sew garments, they stitched identity, dignity, and dreams in every piece. Well, whether it was our school uniform for the first day, or a special outfit for Eid, or a wedding dress that turned heads in Prince Edward Street, well, these artisans were the unsung poets of fabric. Their hands moved with purpose, their eyes with vision, and their hearts with the pulse of the community. So let's unzip the past, button up some nostalgia. This is the Casbah, where fashion met heritage, and every outfit had a story worth telling. Welcome to Echoes of the Casbah. You with me, Buddy Govender. Assalamu alaikum, rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is a two-way conversation, so I'd love to hear from you. You know, there's two ways you can get on to right into the studio here. You can call us on 0861 904 904. The telephone line once again, 0861 904 904. Or you can WhatsApp me on 060 9041 1056. That's the WhatsApp line, 060 9041 1056. I'm watching the monitor that will have all the WhatsApps popping up on here. I'd love to know what you are thinking about or have experiences regarding all these things that we're going to be talking about tonight. Tailors, dressmakers, clothes in the Casbah. Hey, you can follow me on Instagram. That's right. You can get me at Buddy Govender, the @ BUDDYGOVENDER, one word. You can catch me also on Facebook and see what I'm up to. You're more than welcome to share my world. So let's just set the scene while the messages are coming in. I want you to listen to the story because, yes, it's just a story, but it just sums up everything that is the Casbah. Well, the rain had left a sheen on the pavement, turning Grey Street into a mirror of muted reflections. The tailor shop, tucked between a spice merchant and a record store, glowed softly beneath its green awning. Tailor, the sign read above. No frills, no fuss, just tailor, a promise of precision. Well, inside, Uncle Yusuf sat hunched over his cast iron sewing machine, the wheel spinning like a prayer wheel in motion, his fingers calloused and sure, guiding a boat of charcoal fabric between the needles. Well, however, outside, the beige overcoat swayed gently from its hook, catching the eye of passers-by like a sentinel of style. Uncle Yusuf wasn't just a tailor. He was a quiet archivist of the Casbah's changing face. Each suit that he stitched carried whispers of weddings, job interviews, football matches, Eid Day, and Juma prayers. He knew the weight of a shoulder, the pride of a lapel, the story behind every hem. Today, Uncle Yusuf wasn't just working on a jacket. He was working on a jacket for young Tabu, whose father had once boxed at the Avalon Cinema. Well, Tabu wanted something sharp. He said, "Not flashy, Uncle Yusuf, just strong." Well, Uncle Yusuf nodded, measuring not just his chest, but the boy's hopes as well. He chose a deep grey wool, lined it with a subtle maroon satin, and stitched the initials TM into the inner pocket, a quiet flourish. Outside, the city hummed. Taxis moved past, laughter, the scent of cardamom and engine oil. Grey Street was a mosaic of movement. But inside the shop, time slowed, stood still. Uncle Yusuf paused, looked up at the mannequins in the window, one in a brown suit, the other in a blue suit, and smiled. They stood like old friends, watching Grey Street change. He reached for his scissors, the ones that his father had used before him, and he began to cut. Not just the fabric, but a memory, a legacy, and pride.
Loud, the breeze is sounding sad. Oh no, tell me when did we become so cold and empty inside? Lost away a long time ago. Did we really turn that blind? We don't see that we keep hurting each other. No, all we do is just fight. Now we share.
So I'd like to hear from you this evening about your experiences with dressmakers, tailors. I remember my mum going to dressmakers. There would always be in a little quaint shop just off an arcade or a lane, or maybe upstairs in a flat. There would be this auntie that would be sewing, and she was just an expert. You knew when you leave your stuff with her, you were going to get exactly what you wanted. Well, tell me if you know the story. 060-9041-056. Our WhatsApp, 060-9041-056. If you'd like to call, 0861-904-904. Our technician, Mondley, will pick up the call and patch it through to me. Come on, let me hear what you're thinking about.
We ignore heartbreaking crying sounds, and we're still going on like nobody really.
Well, if you know, we've got a Facebook page, my partner Sean Blunden and I. It's called Grey Street, Casbah and Surrounds. It is the iconic story of Grey Street and Surrounds. And when we say Grey Street, it could be Leopold Street, Lawn Street, Carlisle Street, West Street, that whole area, even up to Sydenham and Surrounds, because it all played a part in where we've come from and where we are going to or have been as well. Well, have a look at that Facebook page, because if you're not on it, well, you're never going to share the magic. But let's talk about things tonight. I'm going to throw a few names out there. And I've got a few messages that people sent me, and I spoke to a few people today. I'll tell you about that because it's fascinating. But I'm going to throw up some names now just to get things going. Bolton Tailors in 67 Albert Street. Bolton Outfitters in 39 Prince Edward Street. Gingers, that's right. Remember them? Shop 3, Shiraz Arcade. They were directly opposite the entrance to the Shiraz Cinema in Victoria Street. What about Hollywood Outfitters? PNS? Where did you buy your Bostonians from? Where did you buy your Germans? Where did you buy that Pringle shirt from? Where did you buy your Florshams from? Your Ray-Bans? Your Arrow shirts? Well, men and women had style in the Casbah. There was no doubt about that. Class and style. And the clothing shops along Grey Street knew exactly what we wanted. They knew exactly how to dress that window up. And do you remember those windows? I mean, that was a spectacle itself. Walking down Grey Street, stopping off. You could take half an hour between Queen Street and Victoria Street if you're walking along Grey Street. The shops there, spectacular. Diambarons, Ginger Bagondas, New Shop. Who remembers New Shop? Do you remember the famous advert for New Shop had this tree with all the branches, and it had all the branches where they were in Clarewood, Victoria Street, Commercial Road. I mean, that itself was iconic. Where did you buy your Van Heusen shirts from? Your McIvers? Did you have a London Fog jacket? Did you have a Tiger jacket? Come on, man. You must have bounced around in Jack Purcell tackies. Come on, did you put a lay-by down? Did you ask for a special price? Let's talk about that. Well, a message coming in from Sister Rashida, and she says, Salams, the famous Gangaram Tailors in Queen Street. Well, Rashida, let me tell you, I spoke to Vinod Gangaram this afternoon. That's right, Vinod Gangaram and I grew up together. I lived just not far from the tailor shop where his father had, and they lived in the back of the tailor shop upstairs. And the Gangaram family, very, very well-known family in the Casbah. And of course, they had Gangaram Tailors downstairs. Then, Gangaram Tailors was taken over by Mr. Adam, who had his tailor shop and clothing store down there as well. And I spoke to his son today, Faisal Adam, the famous Adam family, the footballers, the Alberton Kellys. Well, he's the youngest of the Adam boys. I spoke to him today, and he was quite enthusiastic. I had a great conversation. He lives in Johannesburg now. So thank you very much, Sister Rashida. Gangaram Tailors in Queen Street, iconic. Well, a message coming in from Irshad Manjra, and he says, Lal Taylor. His tailor shop was situated inside Ismail Outfitters in Cathedral Road. And he says, I was born in Cathedral Road. My grandfather operated Club Salamat in Cathedral Road. Later, it was renamed Manjra's Cafe. Uncle Lal always did our alterations with a smile. Indeed, Irshad Manjra, thank you very much for sharing that one. Iconic place to grow up in, Cathedral Road. I have such fond memories of those buildings, and you walk into an arcade and you came out into this area that was like a courtyard with a garden in the middle. Takes you back into time. Message coming in, there's no names here. It says, Assalam, school pants altered a day before school. That's right. Not only did you go for your haircut a day before school in the Casbah, but you also had to take your pants in, and the uncle altered it or the auntie altered it. That was like a day before. Today, take it there, and they say, come back in 3 weeks' time. Oh, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Come on, let me hear what you got to say. 0861 904 904. Well, let's have a listen to a message from Farouk Abdi. That's right. Everybody would know Farouk Abdi. Well, him and the late Neville Bowers were very close friends back in the 60s and 70s, and they were fashionistas. They wore the most amazing American outfits that you could find. They were like the trendsetters of, wearing Florshams and a McIver shirt and a pants that's pleated. Well, these guys were just something else. Absolutely fashion icons indeed.
Pray to Allah for all of His blessings. Strive for His sake, gratitude needs expressing. Before I get old, it's my health, for my wealth, the work, and then my death. This was the advice that we got from our prophet, peace be upon him. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
Another message coming in now. There's no name on this one. He says, Safi Bazaar Sports, one of the pioneers in Grey Street for the past 68 years. The Safi Bazaar Sports, that's right, was in Grey Street for over 60 years, and they were well known for the branded tackies and sports goods. Well, I spoke to that gentleman who sent that message, I'm sure, today, and he said to me that he used to serve me personally for my karate suits back in the 70s. I mean, absolutely, I remember that. But I can tell you what, I've got fond memories of going to Safi Bazaar Sports, and there's a few others in Grey Street. There's one other, and I'll speak about that just now, was to buy tiger tackies. You know why we wanted those tiger tackies? Because it came with that yellow bag, and that was the bag you would carry your school books in sometimes. You remember that, Tiger on Suka? Of course you do.
I evolved and I tried to shuffle my own life. I just need everyone by my side. We're food if we think that we'll enter paradise. Without Allah's mercy, good won't suffice. But ain't nobody gonna get it if they haven't lived it. It's a shame, so I pray that we do instead. And if I get temptations, I'll keep fighting my desires. Giving up still an option.
A message from Rajan Padiachi, and he says, Buddy, I worked for Milo and D. Bagwandas during my schooling years and my post-matric studies. Ginger was always immaculate in his dress. Working in Grey Street with these families was an education I will never forget. Good families. Do you remember Bagwandas? Milo? Remember Milo? Remember Ginger? Well, I'm going to tell you, I spoke to Ginger as well today. Yep, in my preparation for the show, I spoke to a number of people. One was Ginger Bagwandas. I wanted to get him on the phone during the show to have a chat with him. He was tied up with some family issues tonight, but he wants to meet with me in the next 2 weeks. And I can tell you, I know Ginger Bagwandas from the 70s. I'm going to just relate a small story to you about Ginger, because I wrote this article a few years ago. And he says, and the story goes something like this. I said, I got a call this afternoon from Mr. Ginger Bagwandas himself, owner of Ginger's, which was on the corner of Shiraz Arcade at the Victoria Street entrance. He asked me if I remember him. My response was, how could I ever forget you, Ginger, and many of the other men in the Casbah? These fine men left positive impressions on us as youth in the 60s, late 60s, 70s, and of course 80s. I myself and my friends would buy all our American clothes from Ginger's store, without a doubt. And also we had carte blanche to pick out whatever we wanted, and then we would take it to Ginger for the special price. Being a town boy, Ginger knew us, so we had to get a special price. Well, not only did he give me a lovely discount, but I also had the privilege of paying the discounted cost over as many months as I wanted to. Isn't that just insane? I feel bad even saying, and I said to Ginger, I really feel bad. I mentioned that to my wife Farana and my friends, that I really felt bad that we did this back in the day. We got the clothes, we asked for a discount, and then we still said, okay, Ginger, I'll see you over whatever months. And Ginger was just, okay, I'll see you. Never bothered. Well, I mentioned that to Ginger, and I said, I really feel bad about that. And I told him, I really appreciate your kindness and will never forget your generosity that you always afforded me. You know what his reply was? What his reply was, and I'm quoting, he says, Buddy, we were one family and treated each other as such back in the Casbah. Can you believe that? Absolutely spot on. I was so thrilled to receive this call from the man that I fondly remember and acknowledge from the Casbah. I'm going to meet him in 2 weeks' time. He says he's going to be back here, and he wants me to meet him and his son, not for the discount or for the term payment, but to salute a real Casbah hero of mine, Ginger Bagwandas. Absolutely. My brother Faisal Saib says sports action wasn't far from Safi. Of course, indeed it wasn't. I think it was just before Leopold Street next to the photographers. I'm not sure, Faisal, if that was the one. I remember that one fondly.
القرآن هدي الإيمان القرآن مسك الختام يا قرآن عليك سلام.
Oh, my brother Shane from Short Street, one of my family members from Short Street back in the day. He says, Salams, my brother, you're really bringing back lots of memories. Don't know if you remember one of the first factory shops in the 80s in Old Fort Road, Coventry Clothing. It used to be buzzing because of top branded clothing. Of course, Coventry Clothing. All of us would want to go there just to see what was happening at Coventry Clothing that everybody was sort of chatting about. Thank you very much, Faisal, indeed. Kumaresan Padiachi says, how are you? Are you on air? Yep, I am, Kumaresan. He says, what about Dyer and Sons in Lawn Street? They still in business. Oh, my word, I will go there. No doubt, Kumaresan. Definitely will go there. He says, Bolton as well. Bolton Tailors. So, who would forget Bolton Outfitters, Bolton Tailors? Thank you, brother Kumaresan. Certainly go out and look at that as well. I had a message that came in from Nadira Khan, indeed. And he says, the start of the show was so beautiful, just beautiful. Felt like we were there. Thank you very much for that one. Who is the author of the beautiful book? I don't know which book it is, but indeed, yep, we'll talk about that. We've got a call that's coming in, and it's from, it says, Hassan Motala. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my brother. How are you?
Thank you.
Good to hear from you. Thank you very much for calling in. I'm sure you've got a lot of memories to share with us.
Now, in Victoria Street, Allah brothers are here.
Sorry, which brothers? I didn't hear you. You broke up.
I like to make my son's day without the problem.
Okay, there seems to be a bad connection. There seems to be a bad connection.
Two brothers,
Mr.
Buddha and Gulab.
Okay,
In Victoria Street.
in Victoria Street.
The server.
Oh, excellent.
you.
Thank you, sir. Take care.
You know one thing, you know about that, the Victoria Street Bridge
Yes,
crossing from
Yes.
the buses.
yes,
There on the wall,
yes.
they used to, non-European guys. So we used to write on the wall, and I don't know if anybody knows that. Non-European
I'm sure they do. Sorry, but the line is a little bit faulty. Like, take care, sir. Walaikum salam. Thank you very much there. Brother Faisal Saib says, buddy, we moved with the times. American, Italian. My favorite was Sensi, owned by the late Naveen. He was an awesome gentleman, without doubt. Naveen was something else, Sensi was one of those iconic shops right across the road from Good Hope Center. You would have Sensi, and they moved to the Gateway. I used to see Naveen there quite often. Sadly, he is passed. But thank you very much for that message that's come over there. There's a message again. It doesn't come from any name. It says, Assalamu alaikum, alaikum salam. Okay, there's the name, Mahmood Ahmed from Overport. He says, buddy, I used to work opposite Good Hope Center in Lockhart Center, Queen Street, Sensi. That's what I'm talking about. Indeed, it was the men's boutique selling mostly Italian outfits, and also Playboy Outfitters was in Commercial Road. Well, this was in 1983 till about 1990. And I remember Bombay House Music Shop, top show, buddy. Keep up the good old memories. Indeed. I remember you so well, right next door, Sensi. And as we said, Naveen was the owner of the boutique. And yeah, he passed away sadly a few months ago. Sad, because he was such a nice guy. My friend John Kaji, the late John Kaji as well, used to hang about at Sensi. And John also passed away. So May Allah grant them all the highest status in Jannah. Ameen, ameen. Muhammad says, salams and du'as. What about Hazrat Basha Pir? Not forgetting. Well, we spoke about Hazrat Basha Pir, but we're going to be talking more about that every Friday, inshallah, when we go through the show. So, stay tuned here on a Friday at 9 o'clock. He says, not forgetting Evans Men's Shop at 107 Grey Street. Shaffer's Men's Shop in Prince Edward Street for American clothing. And what about you, buddy? Your soccer days? He wants me to talk about my football days. Thank you very much. And that comes from Muhammad Shafi Ismail. He says, I followed you from my lighty days. From Newlands West. Muhammad, Jazakallah. I have a big smile on my face. Hey, you can check the show out on Instagram. You can check the show out on YouTube. It's on X. It's live. So there's video footage coming through. Hook onto there and you can check it out. Indeed, we got that message from Brother Faisal Saib. It's 33 minutes after 9 o'clock. We are talking echoes of the Casbah tonight. Tailors, dressmakers, clothing. What about the dressmakers? Let's talk about those aunties. Where were you going to in the Casbah? Well, what about the special price? Did you get a special price? Did you ask for a special price? Of course, you would go inside and you would pick up the shoe, and the shoe would say it was 160 rands, and then there would be a few alphabets underneath the shoe, like D, P, H, I, E, I, O, and then you would ask the shop assistant, the guy that was serving you, so, what's the best price on this shoe? And then he would sort of say, oh, let me just check with the Lani. You would go away, have a chat with the guy. They knew what those alphabets meant, and he'd come back and he'd say, look, it's 160, but for you, I'm going to give it to you for 150. And you probably thought you had a great deal there. Little know that the shoe was actually 90 rands. And he said, no, that's great, because, yeah, it was a good deal. You'd always get a special price. Whatever was marked wasn't the actual price at all. Well, we just 35 minutes after 9 o'clock. We're talking Casbah, echoes of the Casbah, tailors, dressmakers, clothing shops. We're going to take a slight break for some ads, get a cup of tea, cup of coffee going. Come right back because we got so much more to talk about leading up to 9 o'clock. You with me, Buddy Govender, and this is Radio Al Ansar. Back in a bit.
Durban Halal Meats, the butcher with a twist. Whether you're firing up the braai or stocking up for your business, we've got you covered. From premium lamb, beef and chicken to custom cuts and bulk orders, all 100% halal certified by Sanha. Enjoy our convenient buy and braai service, fast delivery and easy online ordering at durbanhalalmeats.co.za. Visit us at 84 Felix Dlamini Road, Durban Halal Meats. Quality, affordability, trust, meat made better.
Saturday, 11th of October 2025. You, your family, and everyone you know have a date with the Breakfast Rush team and everyone at Radio Al Ansar. What will you be doing? Well, walking, running, socializing, and so much more. Online registrations are now open on our website, alansar.org.za. If I can make it to this event all the way from Johannesburg, so can you.
Plan your dream holiday with the specialist, World of Travel, as we pride ourselves in offering you the best in Hajj and Umrah. We also offer travel packages to the Middle East, Far East, and many more exotic destinations. Call our professional travel consultants now on 031 20 888 77 or view our website www.worldoftravel.co.za. Visit us at 44 Crescent Street as memorable journeys begin with World of Travel by Irshad Malik.
Welcome to Simplex Radio. Visit our showroom for the full range of car audio. Our TV department carries top brands with quality LED panels, full HD to Ultra HD, and now the experience of Super Ultra HD. Visit our theater rooms and transform your home with brands like Onkyo, Integra, Denon, Boston Acoustics, Yamaha, and more for quality audio visual experience. Now available, full range of home appliances. A one-stop shopping experience. Call 031 306 4029 or Kenilworth Park, 202 Brickfield Road, Overport. Simplex Radio, the name you can trust.
Sponsor an orphan, and you'll help support a vulnerable child to have the education they've always dreamed of, so they can build a brighter future. You'll be feeding a hungry stomach and a hungry mind with knowledge that will last them a lifetime. That's the power of an education. Sponsor an orphan now with Islamic Relief.
Durban, 90.4 FM. Peter Maritzburg, 105.6 FM.
If we see a nice thing, we say mashallah. If we see a nice house, we say mashallah. If we see a nice car, we say mashallah. This is what we
Yeah, mashallah. We are back 38 minutes after 9 o'clock. Lovely to see all of you online. I'm looking at the names coming up. It's just good to see all of you guys online. Thank you very much for joining me. Hey, catch me on Instagram at Buddy Govender. You can check out what I'm up to, share my world. And indeed, we are talking echoes of the Casbah. Well, let me read through a message that came through from my brother Shaheen Khan. That's right, the Manning Rangers striker, defender, if you remember him. And he says, don't forget to talk about Bobby's Tailors. That's right, and Hira's Tailors that was across the road from each other in Grey Street. Hira's was on the corner of Grey Street and Short Street, and directly across was Bobby's Tailors. Mike Taylor's was in Queen Street in the passage next to the Wimpy. I used to buy my favorite fabric from Lala's Textiles and go to these tailors. Well, PNS, he's talking about Dyers and Son, Ginger Bagwandas, Hollywood's Casanova, Just a Japs. And he says, my aunt's dressmaker was called Mumtaz. She was a dressmaker in Grey Street. They were in the Poppet Lal Kara building. And he says, all the best for the show. Thank you very much, Shah, for that one.
We say mashallah. This is what we say in our day. This is how we act in our day. Yeah, you have to come.
Well, the messages are flying in, indeed. Let's get a message, read one of these messages, and he says, there's no name on it. It says, mashallah show as always. It was called the Town Boys Discount. And that comes from Arshad Khan, Kalal Street, formerly the Triangle Warwick Avenue area from, of course, Town Boy Discount. We all wanted that. Sister Rashida says, Solly Omar Taylor's in Pine Street. Oh, absolutely iconic little shop that was. And Casanova's in Albert Street. I remember once in the 90s, I think it was early 90s, Casanova closed the street off and they had all Porsches parked there. And it was, I think, a Porsche night for all people that own Porsches. They could go up and shop in the evening, in sort of, full carte blanche to the shop. And it says another one, it says, Salams, hope you are well. Alhamdulillah, I am good. He says, I remember the tailors in Brickfield Road and Westville. I also remember Jaywitt's in Victoria Street. Jazakallah for the good show. May Allah bless you. Inshallah, this message comes from Muhammad. Thank you very much, Muhammad. May Allah bless you and your family as well, indeed. There's another message just comes in. It says, Buddy. So if you don't follow me on here at Al Ansar on the weekends, remember I do kick-off on a Saturday afternoon from 3 to 4. I give you all the best in the world of sport, plus play some amazing nasheeds. So join me on a Saturday afternoon, inshallah, 3 to 4. Then Sunday morning, have breakfast with me, 8 to 9 o'clock, the Sunday morning breakfast edition, 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Open the windows to a beautiful Sunday morning for you. And of course, a whole lot of Sunday morning shenanigans as well. Then Sunday afternoon at 4 o'clock, a big roundup of all the sport over the weekend, 4 to 5. You can get me all through that on the weekend, inshallah, bringing you all the best in sport, Sunday morning stuff, and of course, Casbah stuff on a Friday evening.
Stand elevated, blessed by the prophets, led by the greatest,
Well, one of my cousin's wife's father was one of the tailors in town, the well-known tailors, and I asked her to send me a message, and she sent me a little bit of a history on this. And she said gentlemen in the Casbah those days were dressed to the T. You know, it was well known that the men would never be seen without their suits, their hats, and an immaculately attired outfit. That's right, the hats. In the 60s, the gentlemen would wear hats, custom made to their perfection. She says she put this together with her cousin Kuban Mudley, a short history about the suiting and tailing industry. And the institution they're talking about was called Pickles Textiles. It belonged to her grandfather, Mr. S.M. Mudley, and the business outlet was in West Street. But as you know, they couldn't own property in West Street or even trade. It was done under a nominee called Mrs. Pickles, who owned the business site. Well, the original store where Game is now situated was in West Street. They sold top quality fabric and trimmings that went with the tailoring industry. The whole suit was sold as well. Mr. S.M. Mudley had two sons, the oldest being Arula and the youngest Jackie, who was her father, Mr. Jackie Mudley, who was sent to the study textiles and fabric manufacturing in Germany, Düsseldorf. That's incredible. These guys were professionals. When he came back, he relocated the business to the upper end of Victoria Street. Many people were employed in the textile company, and they would make a modern impact in the textile industry as well. The outlets was called Maypick Suiting. All the top tailors in town used to buy their fabric and they trimming from them. The customers would come in and pick out suiting fabrics of their choice. This was high-end wool, cashmere, lamb's wool, silk, velvet, and satin fabrics. These would be taken to the numerous tailors in the area where a customized suit would be made for them. They also opened a branch in Pietermaritzburg. So there you go. That is incredible. Thank you very much, Charlene Williams, for that brilliant insight into your father's textile background. Waiting to get your WhatsApps. 060-904-1056. Well, we got another message. Says, remember Dominions and Morrisons, of course. Brother Fahim. Assalamu alaikum, my brother. He says, I worked a few Saturdays at PMS Outfitters 45 years ago, alhamdulillah. By the blessings of Allah, I could not afford their shoes that I dreamed of back then. He says, beautiful memories. Thank you very much. Listen up, Brother Fahim, because what I'm going to read out is something I wrote, and you're certainly going to resonate with it as well. So I want you to listen to this one. It's called Part-Time Jobs in the Casbah. I wrote this a couple of years ago. And it's on the Facebook page, Grey Street Casbah and Surround, so you can get it up there. So listen carefully, and you'll probably get big smiles on your face. I said, school's out, and it's the Christmas holidays. For most of the young teenagers living in the Casbah, it meant getting a Friday afternoon and Saturday morning part-time job at one of the many clothing outlets along Grey, Victoria, or Prince Edward Streets. Often, you would get it fixed up by a friend who already worked at one of those shops on the regular. Like every Friday after school and every Saturday mornings, you'd be working there. Your friend would sort of tune the Lani and hopefully during the extra busy Christmas period, more casual staff would be required. Normally, when you would get a job, you would start off at the lowest level in the shop, like, packing the stock away or cleaning the display racks, or even making the tea and sweeping the floor, albeit that your initial job description was salesman. Well, quite often, the regular salesman would see you as his personal assistant or personal gopher and ask you to do most of the stuff that he was supposed to do, and also take all your sales as his as well, because you were under his wing. Well, back in the day, you would be expected to be at the shop before 7 a.m. on a Saturday morning to tidy up the floor, the racks, before the doors open. Well, quite often they would send you out on the street front of the shop to call in the customers by mentioning brand names and the going specials of the day. Soon, you would be skilled enough to check a main O swanking down the road, slanting a shiny Bostonian slip-on with a maroon MacIver, khaki Lee pleated pants, and a London fog. And you would target him towards similar brands. You know exactly what he wears. You know what you're going to show him. The latest German shoes, or Wrangler jeans, or Lacoste shirt, or the beige London fog jacket, knowing that would definitely catch his eyes. And considering what he was slanting at the moment, many of the clients, a lot of colored guys, were back from working in Sassel. They had the pounds, man. These O's could dress and knew their clothing. Well, sometimes, and most times, in fact, the guy would ask for a better price. So you'd have to go to this regular salesman or to the owner of the shop sitting by the till and ask him to check the codes on the tag and come up with a good price. These codes were known in secret only by the Lani and some of the senior staff, and they could easily decipher it and know exactly what the cost price is in comparison with the mark price and come up with the best price, which could change depending on how many items you're buying. You're buying 3 pairs of shoes, you'll get a good price. You're buying 1 pair of shoes, well, you'll get a nice price, but more the better. Well, often the customer would require a shoe size that the branch didn't have, and we had to run across the streets, the busy streets, to the other branch to sort of source one and sprint back to the shop with the shoe for the customer. Well, those days as a budding footballer, this was okay for us because we were fit and we were able to scoot all around the Casbah on foot. The vibe and fun was something else. Well, in quieter moments, the regular staff would also play some funny stuff with the new lighties. They would send them to the other branch and ask them for a left-handed screwdriver or a dark black shoe. You know the funny things they can. And you're innocent, you don't know. You think he's telling the truth. You would go there and you say, so-and-so sent you for a dark black shoe. And they would say, no, they don't have a dark black. Tell him we got a light black. And you would run back and then you'd realize, man, they're making you a fool. Closing time. Well, that was any time. It meant whenever the last customer would leave the store, which could be 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the Saturday afternoon, that would be closing time. However, we loved it, man, especially when the Lani would call us over after the store closed and pay us the 7 rand that we agreed upon. What a treat it was to walk home with 7 rand in your pocket, knowing that you pulled a full day's work for it. You were a schoolboy. Man, we walked on the edge of heaven, didn't we? Well, I hope you like that story. We're trying to put in as much as possible. Time's flying when you're having fun. 51 minutes after 9 o'clock. There's a message that's coming. It says, wonderful Casbah memories, that's for sure. I lived in Prince Edward Street in the 60s and the 70s. Our neighbor, Baby, was a dressmaker of note, sewed the most beautiful and exquisite sari blouses. She had faithful customers from all over Durban. The tent shop in Prince Edward Street springs to mind, a small, narrow shop and a treasure trove specializing in fabrics, cotton reels, etc. Love the way the gentleman behind the counter measured the materials with precision. Srimati's Eastern Wear on the shop on the corner of Prince Edward Street and Cross Street springs to mind. Love the beautiful window displays. PK's, Sunita's, and NN's were iconic Casbah Eastern Wear stores. It's a little bit more. Yeah, this is a great message. And they were renowned for their saris, lehengas, etc. And they go, Mo says, thank you for the wonderful show. That comes from Mo. Thank you very much, my brother Muhammad, for that lovely messages. Rashid says, salams, I worked holidays at Record 6 Music Store in Pine Street next to Nichols Square Parkade. I really enjoyed it, listening to great music all day long. And that comes from brother Rashid. Brother Faisal Saib, he speaks about the Ideals. They were the pioneers in the clothing industry. They had branches all over town. Hence I spoke about that tree with all the branches there. A message says, there's no name. It says, okay, they says that was the one, school pants altered a day before school. And they say, mashallah show as usual. It was a town boy discount. And they go on to say leaders and new shop. Alhamdulillah, the money lasted. And that's from brother Arshad Khan. Remember leaders? Yeah, they were also like a new shop. Sister Sumaya Nurgat says, we would always get dragged through town to buy our Eid outfits. Ideals was always the place to shop. I also remember the Bollywood movie studio in Albert Street and the pan vendors outside, not forgetting Jolly Grubbers for Sunday breakfast. Of course. Do you remember Mr. Carnaby in Grey Street? They were midway between Queen Street and Victoria Street. At one time, it was the fashion thing for Eid to wear aubergine pants. You remember that aubergine pants? Did you have one?
In the prophet's presence, so take this moment to remember all my love, remember everything.
Indeed, we got to remember all the good times. Absolutely. We're not sort of going backwards into the past. To go forward in life, you must know where you came from. I'm a Casbah boy. That's what I am. Not a Casbah man, a Casbah this. I am and always will be a Casbah or a town boy. I am so proud to have come from that area. Absolutely. Nice message. Salim Jadwat says, born in 1955, grew up in Amgeni Road where the station is now. Amgeni and Somsi Road corner. Also had Jadwat relatives in Victoria Street above the Muslim butchery. I've been there since the 60s and the 70s. He goes on to say, good show. I'll call next week. I have good memories and lots to talk about. Oh, man, Mr. Jadwat, Brother Salim Jadwat, thank you very much for that message. I'd love to hear from you about your messages. Remember, you can get me on on Instagram, on Facebook. You can also get me on Grey Street Casbah. Join us on Grey Street Casbah Facebook page. It is incredible. There's nothing there about politics. There's nothing there about religion. There's nothing there about this and that. It's purely about Grace Street and its surrounds, its history. Leopold Street, Lawn Street, Carlisle Street, Cathedral Road, Fountain Lane, Prince Edward Street, Short Street, everything. It's all there. Get onto that page.
Please help me, Ya Ilahi. Please guide me, Ya Ilahi.
Well, Brother Anwar Abdul Ghani says, no matter how progressive modern shopping may be, with all the new malls and layouts, nothing, absolutely nothing will match or compare to the charm and charisma that Mr. Bagwandas and Ginger's brought to a shopping experience. Ginger's was the real deal. It was an essence, an outing to none. Great quality clothes, great people, and I really missed that Saturday morning buzz when you walked into the store and got the beautiful aromatic fragrance of the agrobatis burning in the prayer place. Magical moments that can only live in our heads. Will such days ever return? Unfortunately, I don't think so, sir. I really don't think so.
Ya Ilahi, please guide me. Ya Ilahi, please have me. Ya Ilahi.
Brother Muhammad Ghani says, I still have my 3-piece pinstripe pure wool wedding suit tailored by Peter Brown. Bachelor's, Levison's, shoes from 80 Spitz, my original belly made in Switzerland, Hollywood for my Arrow shirts, Bostonian shoes, Levi's stay press pants, and BVDs from PNS. Brother Ismail Hussein says, Christian Dior, Pierre Cardin, jackets from London Fogs, Ronald Sassoon's, Ginger of Bagwandas in the Shiraz Arcade, of course. He says he worked there for several years with Faisal Vauda, as we all know him as Gary, our brother from Diabatin Callies. So, yep, Brother Ismail Hussein, absolute good memories. How's it been so far? You've been smiling? You've been listening to the show? Well, unfortunately, we got to come to an end. It is the end of the hour, and we've had such a great trip. I've got a few messages. Let me quickly read that. Brother Salim Khan, he says, good show, Brother Buddy. I remember Patel's Vegetarian Lounge where we used to buy mixed beans curry. Our boss used to join us for the beans bani chow. Good memories. Faiz says, Brother Buddy, tell us a little bit about safari suits. Oops, of course, you know safari suits. Never wore one. I think I wore one at St. Anthony School when I was a little boy, but not as an adult. Another message, Salam's good memory. Cheeky Boutique and Haribai Tailors in Queen Street. And finally, the last message, it says, no, we got that message. I think we read that one. That's our brother Salim Jadwood who's going to message us. We've got a few messages here on Instagram. Faisal Saib says, Bobby used to be in Lakani Mansions, did all the school alterations there also. Allison's in Short Street, of course. Those are all some of the shops there. Lovely messages coming through. It says, definitely about the suits. My late dad wore a safari suit. Stetson and a velvet hat was a must indeed. Absolutely. Mumtaz Khan says there were two Bobbies based at 230 Grey Street. Both were tailors. Ashram Trikamji was a regular visitor at Bobby's. Do you know why? Because that Bobby Naidu was an official of Verulam Suburbs Football Club. Master tailor, great football administrator. Looks in forward to next week. So there you go. That's my bits for this Friday afternoon. Thank you very much for all the messages. Please do join me on Instagram. Check me out on Facebook as well. Buddy Govender. Instagram at Buddy Govender. Before I go, let me read out this beautiful dua. O Allah, as the night wraps its quiet over the world, wrap us in your mercy. Forgive our shortcomings, ease our burdens, grant peace to our hearts. Protect our loved ones, guide our steps tomorrow, and let our dreams be filled with light. Ameen, Ameen. Well, as we fold today's story into the fabric of memory, we salute the dressmakers, the tailors, the clothing shops in the Casbah, not just for the garments that they crafted, but for the pride that they stitched into every seam. They were more than just storefronts. They were sanctuaries of style, resilience, and a quiet revolutions. From the lace-lined bridal gowns of Mariam Magic Fingers Khan to the sharp suit of Uncle Karim tailor shop, from bell-bottoms stitched with disco dreams to school uniforms pressed with hope, each thread carried a heartbeat, each hemline a story. Though the arcades may have changed and the signs may have faded, the legacy of Casbah's fashion artists live on in family albums, in whispered stories, right here on Echoes of the Casbah every Monday night, inshallah, and of course on the Grey Street Casbah and Surrounds Facebook page, and also in the way we still dress and swanked with dignity. This has been Echoes of the Casbah, with memories that are measured, cut, and sewn into the soul. I'm Buddy Govender. reminding you to wear your story with pride. Never underestimate the power of a well-stitched past. Until next Friday evening or tomorrow between 3 and 4, catch me on Kickoff. Thank you to Mondli for a wonderful job on my right-hand side. Until then, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to you and yours. Stay blessed.
Realize you're the shine, you're gonna be fine. Bring out the hero hidden inside. So don't give in, you fight till the end. The reason we fall is to get up, get up, get up again.